Yay Networks.
Don't ever faint around me. And if you do not fall on anything important. Fall somewhere that's innocent. Okay. Hello, everyone.
Welcome back.
This is Junkyard Mayhem, episode 10 billion.
Wow.
We have an important headline.
We do. We have a fun episode. We just came back from our Door County trip. We're going to tell you some really funny and upsetting and all kinds of things that happened on the trip. And then at the end, we're going to do an Am I the Asshole reading and, discussion. But first, we do have a very important headline.
First, here are the keywords for what you're about to hear.
What?
Advocacy.
Oh.
Disability. Important. Big. Monumental. Listen up.
Help.
Help.
Advocate. That's a lot of keywords.
Disability.
House of Representatives. Bill.
Legislation.
Okay, Shane.
Pay attention.
Okay, so we are going to put the link to this webpage in the description below or wherever you're listening, watching. It'll be in the description box, okay? So you can find the link there. The headline basically is that there is a bill that has been introduced in the House of Representatives that would increase the asset limits for people on SSI. That is the headline. We will now go into detail about what that means.
Yeah, I feel like we need to give context on almost every word in that sentence.
But it's very, very, very important. If you don't know, people on SSI, which is Supplemental Social Security,
which is a way that many disabled people are able to live, to pay for their lives.
Disabled people who are older and have almost no income or assets. And to qualify for this, you have to have less than $2,000 in assets to qualify. If you ever go above that amount, you immediately lose that money and then you have nothing. And
this is the way that disabled people are forced into cycles of poverty that they cannot escape from because they need the SSI to pay for their food and for living expenses that we all need.
To qualify for health insurance. You need to keep all of this.
Yeah.
All the support, but then you can't save more than $2,000. So what happens if a pipe in your house breaks?
Yeah, you don't ever have an emergency fund.
Or if you need a wheelchair accessible van, how do you save up for that?
Or really anything that you want to do as a human being.
Yeah.
Living a life that non-disabled people are not kept from.
Yep. If you want to buy a computer.
Yeah.
Literally anything.
And the other kind of giant reason that this is unfair is that if you would like to get married, that asset limit becomes
$3,000. So instead of $2,000 each, you now have to have less, and you can only have, as a married couple, $3,000.
And so disabled people very often have to make the horrible decision to not marry their partners.
Yes.
Because then their partner's assets will be counted against them.
And a lot of times it's not just not marry, it's not disclose. If you're in a relationship and it's suspected that you might be in that relationship and you're living together or whatever, that counts also. So it's really horrible.
Yeah. This is something, Hannah and I are speaking from a place of privilege. We are able to pay for our living expenses through our work. But even us, from this point of privilege, when we were thinking about getting married, took a long, hard time to consider if we should get married, because down the road, if we need things like SSI, it could disqualify us. Just the fact that we have assets and we're married and Hannah's assets count as mine. But there's hope. And that's what this is about.
Yeah, so this bill raises the asset limit from $2,000 for an individual to $10,000 for an individual, and from $3,000 for a couple to $20,000. So it takes away that penalty that you get for being in a partnership with someone. And it raises that money. Obviously, it's not the ideal amount, $20,000 or $10,000, but it's much, much higher. And it's also set to go up with inflation every year. So it won't just stay the same. And then in 20 years, it's, not really fair anymore.
I do not think any reasonable human being with a heart can listen to this and understand this information and genuinely believe that this is not a good thing.
Yeah.
This is very, very important.
Yes.
But there is not a guarantee that it's going to go through unless you make some noise and let your legislators know that you believe in this is important, and you want this to happen.
And QRSMA has made this very easy by putting together a web page where you can just enter. They have like a message written out. You can customize it however you want. You put in where you live and it automatically sends it to your representatives. You don't even have to know who your representatives are. You
don't even have to know their name.
Yeah, instead of going and like looking up their emails or calling whatever, you can just send this in and it'll send it to everyone in your area. It's really, really useful. And thousands of people have done it already, which is amazing.
Yeah, and like we don't often ask you for favors. We don't do big calls to action.
Yeah.
But this is really important for the disabled community. It is a 2-minute process for you.
Yes.
Click the link below. Tell your legislators that you feel this is important, and let's make it happen.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
This would be so helpful for so many of our friends.
Yeah.
And people in the community, and it's fair. Like,
yes.
It's common sense.
Yep. All right.
All right. Let me get off of. Hold on. Get it off of my soapbox.
All right, should we take a break and then go into our first story, which is kind of gross?
Yeah, what's that smell?
Oh, Lord. If you have a jam-packed schedule this fall like Shane and I do, get EveryPlate and take back some of that time. You'll have fewer trips to the grocery store and meals ready in just 6 simple steps. They plan the meals and deliver pre-portioned ingredients right to your door so you can spend less time meal prepping and packing lunches, and more time taking a breather from your busy work schedule. Choosing EveryPlate over takeout also saves you money. Their meals are 50% cheaper than your average fast casual meal. They are the easiest way to eat affordably. And EveryPlate offsets 100% of their delivery emissions, and their meals have a 31% lower carbon footprint on average than supermarket meals of the same portion. Plus, nearly all of the packaging materials are curbside recyclable in most areas of the U.S. EveryPlate's lower price point is what sets them apart from other meal kits. Their price is amazing, and Shane and I love just going through and picking out the meals that we're going to have each week. It's a really fun process. So get started with EveryPlate for just $1.49 per meal by going to everyplate.com/podcast and entering code 49junkyard. Again, get started with EveryPlate for just $1.49 per meal by going to everyplate.com/podcast and entering code 49junkyard.
Stinky.
Oh my God. That's me. That's a quote that I said when we were in Door County when I walked in and smelled something a little off.
I think I still had poop on my wheels.
Oh my God.
I got poop on my wheels.
That was such a small moment. I don't know why that's how you're characterizing our trip for everyone.
Because this is junkyard mayhem.
Okay.
And the junkyard of life is filled with poopy wheels.
And the worst part is that we don't even know what kind of poop it was. It wasn't dog and it wasn't human. It was perhaps coyote?
We don't even know where it happened.
Or possum?
We're going to have a video about our trip coming out Friday, says Hannah.
Yes, Friday.
Friday, says Hannah. Shane says any day.
If I get it done earlier, then maybe Thursday. But
Shane says any day in the future.
Yeah, it's coming this week.
With, it was an amazing trip and we did a lot of really fun stuff.
Yes.
But we have a few stories that are not in that video.
Because I didn't film you when you had poop on your wheels.
Well, okay. Our cabin was very beautiful, lovely. Not really a cabin.
It wasn't a cabin. It was a new build in a new little development.
It was a house, but it was in the middle of the forest. So that's a cabin.
And there were deer walking around.
There were deer. There were lots of animals.
Turkeys. Yeah.
Tons of wildlife we saw.
Leaving poop everywhere.
Snakes that were dead, unfortunately.
It was a dead snake.
But we would do these walks through the very nice paved road.
Yes.
Through the woods. My ideal kind of
it was great
nature.
And it was cold enough that there weren't bugs all over us, like no mosquitoes, none of that.
And then we came home from one of our walks and I go into the house and Hannah's, undoing Chloe's leash and harness and walks in and goes, Shane, you're trailing something. Oh, Shane, it's poop. You're trailing poop through the house.
Oh, gross.
When I was a little kid, that used to be a almost daily part of my life.
Oh my God, your poor parents.
Because as kids, I would drive my chair in the grass often.
Yeah.
And in dirt and on fields. And
Yeah.
I don't do that now that I'm an adult, really.
Yeah.
This kind of brought me back to my youth.
That's disgusting.
The poop of my youth.
I remember, weren't your parents like annoyed at, like, didn't you have like a punishment because you would get poop in the house so often and they would like hose it down outside?
Yeah, there was no punishment.
I thought your parents were annoyed about it.
No, so the protocol was when you arrive home from playing outside, you have to get mom or dad or Andrew as he got older to hose off your wheels.
I see. Protocol, not punishment.
Otherwise, but when I disobeyed the protocol and just said, my wheels are probably fine. And then, an hour later, my mom gets home and says, Shane, why is there poop all over your rug? Then I was probably in trouble. The other big drama that we had on this trip.
That, again, we didn't film because this was not filmable. We were distraught.
This was like very unhappy.
Yes.
A very challenging thing. It tested our relationship.
Oh my God. We did get in a fight. I wouldn't say it tested our relationship, but we were fighting.
I felt tested.
Oh my God. Well, I think I'll give the full story if you don't mind, including what you thought you contributed to this problem. So basically, while we were in Door County, we knew that we had a live stream event. Yeah. And because of that, it was very important that we had good Wi-Fi. The house that we were staying in was an Airbnb that was, again, a new build.
Very modern, like
beautiful house, wonderfully decorated, had Wi-Fi. It was all good.
We checked that specifically.
Yeah.
We were like, we have a contracted event that we have to do.
Yeah.
This wasn't like for fun.
Yes.
We were just doing live for fun. We had an event that we were, being paid to do.
Yeah.
And had to be online at 6 p.m. on Tuesday night.
Yes, had to be.
So that we needed Wi-Fi.
And we got to the cabin on Sunday night. So on Sunday night, we were watching TV. It was all fine. And
first thing I did, internet speed test.
Speed test. It's all good to go, like no problem. And we were watching TV that night. And the TV all of a sudden stopped playing the show we were streaming and said that it had lost internet connection. And we checked our phones and they couldn't connect either. So we were like, that's really weird. I know where the router is. I'll just, unplug it, plug it back in, reset it.
And just for context, like when Hannah said we were way, way up north, we were way, way up north.
Yes.
Like we didn't have service other than the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, like our phone service didn't work, so we couldn't just use.
There was no 5G or LTE or anything like that. It was Wi-Fi or Scream to communicate, There was no other methods of communication.
There was a little LTE, but it would take like 5 minutes to load a Facebook page, It was really bad.
Not going to work for a live stream.
Not going to work for a live stream. So I reset the router, we watch, and then like 5 minutes later, it cuts out again.
It did work. Resetting the router worked.
It worked.
I was like, okay, that happens sometimes.
Yes.
No big deal.
I reset it a couple of times that night and it was fine, but fine to stream. But it was a little weird that the router kept cutting out.
I was getting nervous at that point because it seemed to be a consistent issue.
It was a little consistent. The next day was similar. I think I reset the router maybe like 4 or 5 times throughout the course of the day. We were getting a little bit more worried.
But in a silly way, we were still just like, oh my gosh, what if it goes out during our presentation? That would be really bad.
Because it would stay on for like a 3-hour period, which was fine. But as the day goes on, it seems like the periods that the Wi-Fi stays on are getting shorter. And by 7 p.m., I'm resetting this router every 10 minutes.
I'm communicating with the Airbnb host.
Yeah.
Like, is there a trick to making this Wi-Fi turn on? And he, gave some advice, but he explained that like the internet up there is pretty limited and you get what you get. So
there's no other options for Wi-Fi. It's just this one company and, that's all they can do. So we're resetting it. We're panicking. And by like 10 p.m., the internet is out.
It's not coming back.
I keep resetting the router and it is not coming back on. We now have no internet and no service. So it's not like we can even Google like what to do. Yeah.
We're in very bad moods because, we're interrupting our show.
Yeah.
We're trying to relax and have a nice vacation.
Yeah.
Our show is now not playing at all.
And we're panicking about what we're going to do for our live stream, which is the next evening.
It's the next day. And based on, what the Airbnb owner told us, I didn't have very high hopes that anywhere in town would have Wi-Fi. And you can't just go to a coffee shop for a live stream. It's too loud.
Exactly. You can't be in public. And the thing is, we were at that point, I was using our very limited internet capabilities to search for places in the county that would have Wi-Fi. So we were looking for libraries and it would take so long to load each page. We were so annoyed. And every single library closed at 4 p.m., 3 p.m., 1 p.m. And the live stream was at 6, and we found a co-working space that closed at 5. We were like,
that was
my God.
That was a moment of utter letdown. And it was oh my God, a co-working space. Yep. Actually, I think your mom.
Yeah, my mom.
Your mom.
From Poland. Sent us a link.
So it was how about this? We were classic live, solving the problem.
Yep.
But they were only up until 5.
Yeah.
And we were no. So I was about to call them the next day and be hey, can you stay open for us?
What can we do? Can we pay you extra? So at 10:30 p.m., we are in horrible moods.
Yeah.
I'm searching on my phone for different libraries. I finally found one that was open until 7, and I wrote it down. I was we're going to go here tomorrow. They have meeting rooms that you can reserve. We're going to check it out, make sure there's good Wi-Fi. And Shane is sitting there, and I remember that you were reclined in your chair, which irritates me.
The Airbnb came stocked with wine, complimentary wine.
That's nice.
I'd indulged. Yeah. And I'm just giving you
the
honest.
You were a little out of it, and you were tipped back, laying flat in your chair.
Tipped back has nothing
yes,
to do
it does,
with
because imagine me, beads of sweat. I'm researching, I'm Googling, and I look over, and Shane is staring at the ceiling.
No, but beads of sweat, I am just as worried.
No, you're not. You're smiling to yourself. I look over, you're like this, grinning.
This is unfair. This is propaganda.
And I say to Shane, I keep updating him, I found a library. Oh no, this one's closed, whatever. And I tell him I found one at 7. We're going to go and see if we can reserve the history room. And this is how much it costs.
I think that I checked out because I couldn't deal with web pages taking minutes to load.
But you were also tipped. You were not trying.
But before that, I learned
yes.
I don't have the emotional makeup to handle a slow internet.
No.
So I'm taking myself out of it.
Yeah, you're taking out of it. But you're also trying to be involved. So every couple of seconds, every 15 seconds, Shane would say, "What are we going to do?" And I was like, "Shane, I am actively looking for a solution. You are not helping. Stop it." And then he'd be like, "Oh, what are we going to do?"
And then I had my most brilliant idea.
You had a brain blast that you had to share. And I said to you, I found a library. We're going there tomorrow. It opens at 1 p.m. We will be there at 1:15. We will reserve this room, blah, blah, blah. And Shane doesn't listen to any of that.
10:30 p.m.
Says to me, "Let's drive home now." And I was like, but as if that was an amazing idea. His eyes were glimmering and he was like, "Let's drive home now." And I was like, "Shane, it's 10:30. We would arrive at around 4 a.m. Do you think that is a good idea?" And he was like, "I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to do." And I was like,
"This is our only option."
I told you about this library. It was awful. I was so mad at you. Anyway, the next day we go to the library. We reserve the room. It's all looking great.
It felt too good to be true. The fact that a library that was only 10 minutes from our Airbnb not only had Wi-Fi, we went there and we test called people.
Yeah.
And it worked great. And rooms that you could rent, and they were open late enough. We were like, it
was amazing.
This is lucky.
So we rented that. Then we went home. I reset the router. I had been unplugging both things, but I decided at this point to unplug not just the router from this plug, but also the plug from the wall. I unplugged.
Modem.
No, I had already unplugged a modem.
Well, you basically disconnected a lot more.
I disconnected everything. It was the third thing that I could unplug from the wall. I unplugged it instead of just the power, whatever. And the internet came back on.
It came alive. So this is 3 p.m. Speeches in 3 hours. We're using the internet a lot to see if it's going to stay on, and it's staying on.
Yeah,
we don't know what to do.
At 5, we're do we go to the library or do we just do it here? Because here is a lot easier. just sitting in our space, it's a lot more comfortable.
And the Wi-Fi was a lot better than it was at the library.
Yeah, if it stays on.
So we made the risk to stay in the house, do the live stream there, and just hope to God that it didn't go out again. And we're doing it, and we begin, and it's working great.
Yep.
And it stayed on.
It did.
The whole time.
The whole time.
It was
the rest of the trip it stayed on. Like, it literally stayed on the rest of the week.
Yeah.
So I fixed it.
You did fix it. And I'm so grateful that it stayed on, because if you watched that live stream, it was on Instagram. It was like a very professional, thing that
with other people involved, like a panel of other people. Yeah, it was the thing.
If we would have disconnected, it would have been so awkward.
I know. So yay, it all worked out. And all that stress for nothing. Like, we wasted an entire day trying to find a place to do our live stream.
Yeah, and thankfully, it was in the beginning of the trip.
Yeah.
Like, we had the rest of the week to relax and not have that stress.
Yes.
Oh
boy.
Again, this is why I don't like nature.
Okay.
Or cabins.
So that was a little summary of our time in Door County. There's a lot more and a lot more good stuff.
The funniest thing happened on this trip. Literally one of the funniest things. That will be in the video that we make about it.
Yes,
so.
That is pretty funny. I know what you're talking about. Oh, and also what's not in the video, but I really want to say, is that one time Shane screamed out in the car that he saw deer. He was so excited. He was like, deer, deer, deer. And I looked, and it was a flock of chickens in someone's yard.
My perspective was off.
And I was like, Shane, those are chickens. And he was like, oh, I thought they were a lot further away.
Thank you, my loving wife. All right, we're going to take a quick break.
Yes.
And we'll be right back. It's time to play Am I, not me, but Are
they the asshole?
Are they?
This is taken from the subreddit, Am I the Asshole, where people write in asking, describing a situation and asking people to tell them if they are the asshole in the situation or not. I read this when you sent it to me earlier.
Did you? Oh, I'm interested to hear your opinion.
I did.
And we'd like to hear your opinion as well. So let us know in the comments what side of this story you are on.
Yes. This is a really interesting one. I'm curious what you're going to think too. Okay. I, a 21-year-old female, attended my aunt's wedding a few weeks ago. I was not part of the wedding, just a guest, which I was fine with. Before the wedding, everyone was advised to drink lots of water and eat beforehand because it was going to be extremely hot that day. The wedding started at 5 p.m. and I had absolutely nothing to eat or drink up until then except maybe a granola bar because I was extremely busy that day. So when it was time for the wedding, I was already tired and hungry. About 30 minutes into the wedding, which was at a church, by the way, I was feeling uneasy and lightheaded, so I excused myself to go to the washroom. As I was walking, I got that feeling like I was about to collapse. The next thing I can remember was coming to and see lots of people surrounding me, including the bride and groom. Apparently, when I fainted, I fell onto the photographer who was crouched down near me. Not only that, but he dropped the camera lens down and it broke. To be honest, I don't even remember seeing the photographer, but I may have been too dizzy or something to have seen him. The wedding was a bit of a cheaper one, so the photographer was a family friend of the groom's who only had one camera with him. The bride was just in tears that she won't have any good pictures from her wedding. The photographer insisted that he could drive home and grab a different one, but it would take too long. The bride was indeed mad at me, but I felt it was a bit harsh as it was extremely embarrassing for me already. Fainting never even crossed my mind as something that would happen at all. They did get pictures, but they were on cell phones.
Ooh.
All right, you want to know my initial reaction?
Is this person the asshole?
My initial reaction to this is like, this sounds fake to me. Something about the way it's
really
written. Yeah, I don't think this actually happened. I genuinely don't.
Let's pretend for the sake of our
something is off about
story.
It doesn't sound like how a real person would write. Like, I feel like this is, I don't know. This doesn't sound like a 21-year-old girl.
All right, so Hannah's vote is, doesn't matter, it's not real.
This is fraudulent. I really feel like something is off about this. Does anyone else feel like something is off? And also,
that's not one of the options that we're voting on here.
Everyone was advised to drink lots of water and eat beforehand. By who? Who reached out to you the day of the wedding and was like, don't forget to eat and drink? Who advises someone that?
Someone in the family.
Someone had to tell this girl to eat?
You are... You're not playing the game.
I don't think like this scenario is so bizarre. Imagine if on the day of our wedding, I sent out a mass email telling everyone, don't forget to eat. And maybe drink some water.
Maybe the church doesn't have air conditioning, and the message was, hey, heads up, church doesn't have air conditioning. It's going to be really hot, so eat and drink,
Well, she didn't say the church didn't have air conditioning.
Well, if it was so hot that someone passed out.
Well, she passed out because she hadn't eaten or drank anything. Who doesn't eat or drink until 5 p.m. because she's extremely busy?
Hannah, do you think this person is an asshole? Or do you think that the people that got mad at her were the assholes?
If I take this at face value, which I'm finding very difficult, I think if I was the bride and someone passed out and broke the camera, like, yeah, I think that this girl is the asshole.
Behavior?
If it's true that she didn't eat or drink until 5 p.m. because she was busy, and the whole thing of like, I wasn't in the wedding, which I was fine with. I just thought that was a very weird thing to include.
Yeah, that was a little
You don't
big.
seem like you're fine with it. Like, imagine if I was like, I'm going to this wedding, I'm not in it, but I'm fine with that. What?
Yeah, you're saying that for a reason.
Yeah, I think she just seems like the whole way it's written is just very assholey to me.
Okay. You, I will say, sided with the overwhelming majority of commenters on Reddit.
See, that's scary because I never read it on Reddit, so I don't know. Like, what if everyone was against me?
Many people thought that the individual that fainted was the asshole.
Yeah.
I disagree. I think that when you are throwing a wedding, it is your responsibility to provide a hospitable environment.
No one said that it was hot in the church. She did not say it was hot in the church.
Well,
so don't extrapolate.
The warning was, it's going to be a very hot day.
Yeah, it's a hot day. You can't control the weather. Our wedding had a tornado alert.
Then
imagine someone being like, it's their responsibility to provide a hospitable environment. I'm very upset that there was a tornado siren.
No, but okay. It is up to the person who fainted to make decisions about their day.
Yeah, it's up to them to provide a hospitable environment for their body, which includes eating and drinking.
But it doesn't make them an asshole. If they've never fainted from not eating or drinking enough in the day, why would they expect to do that at the wedding?
But it doesn't. I'm just saying, if you break the camera and ruin someone's wedding, you're the asshole. I don't care why you fainted. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that you're, in that situation, you did that. You should be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I should have had something to eat. This was so easily avoidable. That's the problem. If they had a medical condition, sure, but
that's the thing. I just feel like fainting is not a it's not normal enough that this person should have worried about fainting. But even just
hungry, excusing yourself during the wedding and walking down the aisle because you didn't eat.
If you feel lightheaded and you run to get to the bathroom to get some water.
I don't think she was going to get water. She refused to drink water all day.
Extrapolating.
I'm just saying. I don't like this girl. Mm-mm.
That's so not fair, though. The wedding should have had water available if it was that hot. Or but it's Shane. It's 30 minutes in. There's going to be an entire thing where they provide food and drink. You do not serve people food and drink at the church. Come with your own water bottle. I don't understand.
Before you arrive.
The thing about the warning, to me, is so odd of a warning.
Yeah.
That I have to believe that it was a warning based on knowledge of what the church was going to be
we cannot say that.
But that's ridiculous.
She just said a hot day, not a hot venue. It's hot outside.
But why would it matter? Why would you tell people to eat and drink?
But then she's the asshole because she didn't do it.
Church.
Because it was their responsibility to make sure their guests were comfortable. Make sure you drink today. That's nice. And then she didn't. And then she broke the camera. And the bride has no photos.
She was very busy. What if she was having a terribly rough day?
It sounds like she was getting her hair done and her nails done.
She was having a very busy day. Didn't have time to eat and drink.
Who doesn't have time to drink? That's just not a thing. There is no amount of busyness that you can be that you can't have water. People who are news reporters have a cup of water in front of them. Unless that person, what are you on a spaceship? Did NASA not provide you water?
She was in Dory County. She didn't have internet either.
What in the world? In what world can you not have water? And she says, maybe a granola bar. Okay. Did you eat a granola bar or did you not eat a granola bar?
I just don't think that fainting, which to me is a a very unexpected medical issue should be thought of as asshole behavior. Like, and that's really what we're asking.
I don't even think it's no, it's not just that. It's the fact that she is not remorseful at all and says they got pictures on cell phones. Why am I the asshole in this situation? He could have gotten the camera. She said there wasn't time. Like, I'm not the asshole. It's the reaction. If I fainted and broke the camera at someone's wedding so that they did not get wedding photos, I would feel so horrible. I don't even know what I would do. Like, I would have called I don't even know what I would do.
That's true.
I would not post on Reddit being like, I'm not the asshole, am I? Because this is absurd. How could I be the asshole in this situation?
No.
She's posting looking for people to be like, yeah, the bride's the asshole. No, she's not. You ruined the wedding.
I think that definitely, but that's a different conversation.
No, it isn't. That's what people are judging her on. If she afterwards was like, I made a horrible mistake not eating and drinking. I'm so sorry. I ruined the wedding. Oh my God, you're not an asshole at all. It's okay. It's okay. But if you go like, excuse me, why are you so mad at me? I'm embarrassed. Okay. Now you're the asshole.
So Hannah's declaring asshole on the grounds of phrasing.
No. Why are you summarizing my words incorrectly?
It's more about her like aftermath behavior. Like
it's both. Yes, it's the irresponsibility of arriving somewhere where you are compromised and then ruining the wedding because of that.
I would expect that.
Okay, here you go, Shane. If you were at a wedding, you had too much to drink. This is like the same thing. Not enough to drink, too much to drink. And you...
No, it isn't.
Why?
Let's do it with my blood sugar. Like, if
you need to be in a way that's... Like, if you had too much to drink and you backed up trying to get out of this church and ran over the camera, you're the asshole.
It just feels very, very different to me. Breaking the camera to me isn't like factoring into it. I'm wondering, is it like...
What?
Is it asshole behavior to not eat because you just kind of expect that you'll be fine as you normally are?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, asshole behavior. And then you ruin the wedding. Yep, should have eaten. Should have had a cup of water.
So you think, you know how my blood sugar will occasionally drop? If we had a very, very busy day and I was not able to eat enough during that day, and then at a wedding we go to, my blood sugar drops, and I'm like, Hannah, I whispered to you during the ceremony.
Oh, this is detailed.
I can't believe it's happening. Like, my blood sugar's dropping. I need to get out of the church, and I need to get food into my belly. And I'm beginning to sweat and get a little bit kind of hazy from my blood sugar dropping. So as I turn, I hit the camera bag and break the camera. Oh my God.
You hit the cameraman, and he drops the camera in a collapse.
Camera breaks. I leave. Am I an asshole or was I?
You were the asshole. You broke the camera. Be more careful.
No, I was.
Eat more food before you came. Shane, I cannot.
Disagree about this.
Cannot.
Accidents happen. When you're fainting, she wasn't like, and then, you know what? I'm going to fall this way on the cameraman. Shane, she was completely not in control of what was happening.
Shane. If afterwards
I thought this would be
you were angry that the bride was mad at you, then you are the asshole. I don't care. You ruined someone's wedding and you ruined the memories. They will not have photos now because you didn't eat.
I think you're making the person that posted angrier than it actually reads. I think you're applying extra anger to them that they're like, yeah, I'm not the asshole.
Well, they're posting on Reddit.
Yeah, but a lot of people write in genuinely just being like, am I the asshole here? Like,
yes,
we don't know
you are. If you don't know that you're the asshole, not like
that's why it's debatable.
Who doesn't apologize? Like, who doesn't?
And you don't know if she didn't apologize.
Well, she doesn't accept that the bride is mad. She says that's unfair.
If I then apologize to the bride profusely.
But you don't know she's apologizing profusely.
No, we don't know. But so
Shane,
she's not a villain.
Oh my God, I'm disappointed in you. I'm literally. The wedding was a bit of a cheaper one. Like, she just reads so rudely. I don't mind not being in the wedding. I was already tired and hungry.
Oh, camera battery is about to die. Oh my God, we need to end this for real.
Okay.
Yes, we all do it. I'm right.
Shane.
No, but
we're gonna keep talking about this because I'm disappointed in your logic.
Next time you faint, I am gonna call you the biggest asshole.
I don't faint because I'll have plenty to eat today.
Because you genuinely don't faint. If you did, you're a giant asshole. Don't ever faint around me. And if you do not fall on anything important. Fall somewhere that's innocent. Okay.
It's the way she wrote it.
Thank you, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this episode.
Bye. Oh,
That's not how we end.
Like, subscribe, review, and it's a junkyard out there.
God, you're actively
Hurry up.
Enough today.
Hurry up.
It's a junkyard out there, and it's going to be a hot one. So eat as much as you can. Goodbye.